This video is powered by As Always Entertainment. If you enjoyed this content, consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/asalways for access to the Patreon exclusive podcast, The Kill Connor Clubhouse, early access to the Cinema Room podcast, being part of polls for future videos, and other early access material. With that said, please enjoy the video. There's been a lot of Assassin's Creed content to start off this year, hasn't there? I didn't intend for this, but I'm going to be away when this video goes out, so I thought, why not just fucking talk about this? Legacy of the First Blade has been on my mind since I played it. I streamed it, and if you want to watch my stream where I give my thoughts as they happen, you can go and do that. I'll link it in the description. What I think is hilarious is I played the first episode, and after finishing it, I was like, maybe I'll play the second one, maybe I won't. And then I was like, oh, fuck, we've got it. Might as well. Maybe it'll be a laugh. But I said, like, I've said what I'll say. Now we'll just have a laugh at it on streams. But so Ubisoft, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose now. This is the thing. Are they I don't know. They've kicked up a fucking shitstorm of controversy with this. And I'm going to talk about that later on. I'll leave that till the end to go over the controversy surrounding Ubisoft and how they're homophobic. Anyway, we'll save that for later. For a start, let's just begin, I suppose. Let's just kick things off. So Legacy of the First Blade came out recently, within the past few days, and I didn't think they could do worse than they did with the first episode. Now, in the first episode, I had a lot of issues with it, and I'll link my video in the description where I actually talked about that and went over my issues with this. So go and check that out if you want to get caught up to speed on exactly what my issues are with that. And I thought, well, they've done everything now. They fucked everything in the first episode. There's nothing more they can do. The worst stuff they could do is, like, you know, give Cassandra a hidden blade, or make Darius directly reference an Ezio speech from Assassin's Creed 2, or make Darius do a leap of faith. Now, can you guess which one they did? Because, let's be real, all three sound very, very plausible. It was the leap of faith. I'm assuming you've played the DLC. They made him do a leap of faith.
Follow me.
So we're going to go there with Darius. A lot of people have actually been on my side with this one. And a lot of times people just see what I'm saying as, oh, you're nitpicking, who cares about the lore? Oh, it was always boring. You know, dumb arguments where when I go, they got that factually wrong in terms of the lore, people still find a way to make it my fault. But a lot of people have been on my side, including the Assassin's Creed subreddit, which is mental. So it's clear to me that there's a big issue with this DLC. But let me explain the Leap of Faith. So the Leap of Faith has been a staple of the Assassin's Creed franchise since the very first installment back in 2007. It's something that was fully invented for the franchise, although it was based on actual history. The assassins used to throw themselves off buildings and die, like kill themselves. But it was meant to symbolize that they don't fear death, that death isn't an obstacle for them, and that's why you should fear them as the assassins, because they're not scared of dying, so they've got nothing to lose when fighting against you, which is, you know, pretty good as fear tactics go. Not as good as Evie Fry, though. But in Assassin's Creed, the Leap of Faith doesn't kill anyone. No one's killing themselves. They actually fall conveniently in a bale of hay, which, as silly as it is makes sense, I guess, in terms of Assassin's Creed. It's grounded in the whatever, fuck it. Okay. And we never really found out the origin of the Leap of Faith. Why was it a thing that they did? Because in Assassin's Creed, everything sort of has a reason. The assassins weren't the same as they were in real life, where they were sort of like just smoking weed and killing people. They were terrorists in real life, really. But in Assassin's Creed, they're heroes, and they're the good guys, and so it'd kind of be nice to know why they throw themselves off. But who did that first of all? That's a question that I'd had for a while. Assassin's Creed Origins actually went ahead and explained this. Assassin's Creed Origins being the origin of the assassins, it tells the origin story of a lot of things, whether it be cutting off the ring finger, or don't bring harm to innocents was told in the DLC, and so was the meaning of the Leap of Faith. Now, the Leap of Faith, a lot of people think that this was actually a Medjay trait, which is why Bayek knows it, but that's not actually the case. It's not a Medjay thing that all Medjays were taught. It's actually specific to Bayek and his father. Across Assassin's Creed Origins and Desert Oath, it's explained that Bayek's father took him to a cliff just outside of Siwa and instructed him to jump into the water below. The tactic was to quell Bayek's fear, to show that if you can do this and you can survive and you can successfully make this leap, then you shouldn't fear anything because you can always overcome impossible obstacles. And so that's something that Bayek was taught by his father. Bayek then wanted to teach that to Khemu, and he goes to, but Khemu can't perform the jump, he's too scared. And that's the last time Bayek ever really saw him. Obviously, you know, he tells him to run home, he sees him again in the vault, but that moment is an incredibly poignant moment in the reason that Khemu gets kidnapped and the reason that he ends up dying. And so Bayek decides to make that a poignant part of the Brotherhood, because it's also a useful tactic as taught to him by his father, but also Khemu being the catalyst for the start of the Brotherhood makes sense that the leap of faith that was very poignant to him, Bayek, and his father would be the central focus, would be a trait of assassins. Now, because of this, you can obviously understand that the leap of faith has a lot of emotional weight to it. Every time it's performed by an assassin in the franchise, you know where it came from and why it exists. It's an elegant move to begin with, but knowing its history adds all that more beauty to it, I think, and it's something that I absolutely loved from Origins. It's one of my favorite parts of that origin story, is learning where the leap of faith came from and why it's so important. Now, this fucking game, Odyssey, does away with all that. I mean, for a start, Alexios or Cassandra can already perform the leap of faith, but you can put that down to fucking stupid shit. Like, why can Edward do it before he's ever learned? Or why can Ezio do it at the beginning of the game? Why can Arno do it? You know, stupid things like that would just be, oh, well, it's, you know, well, for me, for like Edward and Ezio and all those people that do it before they're actually assassins, to me, that's just, well, they did it at some point in their life, so the Animus can register that and they can sort of just do it. It's just a gameplay feature, but it makes sense because they're assassins. With Alexios and Cassandra, I put it down to, well, Layla's Animus is already fucking stupid, so I guess it's just a thing the Animus can replicate. It doesn't mean it's canon and that they actually did it, though. But the DLC made it canon. Made it canon that Cassandra does it all the time. And Darius does it as well. So, can we actually talk about this for a minute? Not only does Darius perform the identical leap of faith move to the one that Bayek does hundreds of years later, that's incredibly personal to him and has a lot of emotional weight to it, whether it's convenient or whether it makes sense that someone jumped off a high place before into a bale of hay, whether that makes sense or not, I don't fucking care, because there's emotional weight behind that move. And so, in Assassin's Creed canon, nobody should have done that before Bayek, otherwise don't give it emotional weight. Why would you set up something having an emotional point to the reason behind its origin if you're then going to do away with that and say, oh yeah, that one was emotional, but in history, plenty of people have also just done it as well, in the exact same way. Even the eagle goes, eagle noise. And it's the same. It's not just jumping from a height. See, I wouldn't be as mad if he just like jumped off into a bale of hay and just like cannonballed in, or like he jumped off backwards. You know, but it's identical. They knew what they were doing. It's the leap of faith. Why does he do that? Hundreds of years before Bayek does it, and it's very personal to Bayek, and it becomes a staple of the Brotherhood because of Bayek. You can't then have someone hundreds of years before that just doing it sort of flippantly. I just flippantly jump off high structures like that, and an eagle makes a sound when I do it into a bale of hay, and I do the flip and everything. It's it's just a thing people do. People just do it. People just do it all the time. So it's not important. If that's the case, though, if that's the thing you want to run with, then that makes Origins is writing bad. You can't get away with this in any way by somehow sparing Assassin's Creed. Either Odyssey's fucked it or Origins has fucked it. One of the two. It's either it has emotional weight and Odyssey's fucked that, or it never had emotional weight and it's just everyone's done it throughout history, assassin or not. People just fucking do it. They just love it. And Origins fucked that by giving it emotional weight when it shouldn't have had it. One of those is wrong, and I think it's Odyssey. On top of this, it's not just Darius either. That means it's now canon that Cassandra did the leap of faith. And it's not like they're related. Then it's not like it's not like Darius taught her and so, it's just a joint thing and they both did it first at the same. They both have separately been doing identical moves. They've both separately, in their own lives, been performing the leap of faith before it was ever a thing. And there's no connection to Bayek. Darius shouldn't be an assassin. It makes no fucking sense. Like I said in the video before, they're just trying to do it for iconography and brand identity. It doesn't actually make any fucking sense. Darius should just be a bloke. He should be a guy that has very similar ideologies to the Assassin Brotherhood that will later come about. He should act on those things, and he should kill people who he sees fit, the same way the Assassins do. The difference should be that he doesn't wear a hood. He doesn't hide in the shadows and hide in plain sight. He shouldn't have a Brotherhood, he shouldn't be fighting Templars, and he fucking shouldn't be doing the Leap of Faith. Secondly is a small thing, and it's just the fact that the DLC was very mundane. It's a lot of padding, and not a lot of actual content. I don't think I enjoyed a single moment from the DLC. I think it was all very boring. I think it's some of the worst animations we've seen from the entire franchise, and perhaps gaming in general. It's very, very close to that of Mass Effect and Andromeda, if not on the same standard, if you can call it a standard. The voice acting, again, is just so shit. Just so shit. And it's just an absolute fucking mess, to be honest. On top of that, you've got that plot point in the middle where, spoilers, Darius's mate, that, like, was all evil, now he's working with the Order of the Ancients, whatever. For some reason, in the middle of the game, he disguises himself as a farmer who helps Cassandra. But Darius doesn't recognize him. And I don't know why he did it. It's really odd. It's really fucking odd. It's almost like the only reason he did it is so they could, at the end, reveal this insignificant farmer was actually the bad guy. But they'd never do that, would they? They're too good at writing. They are too good. Ubisoft Quebec, top-notch. Top-notch writing. Incredible stuff. Beautiful. To add to this, you've also got the other part of the ending where it feels like an absolute fucking fanfiction, where Cassandra gets fucking married, maybe not married, but she gets together with Darius's son, and they have a baby for some reason, and it makes no sense because the DNA is on the spear, so it's not like she needs a descendant, so that's a bit odd. And it's also a bit strange to me that Cassandra's son, who is also the grandson of both Pythagoras and Darius, is also the great-grandson of Leonidas. The same person. Great-grandson of Leonidas, grandson of Darius, and grandson of Pythagoras. It's all the same person. Well, that's canon. Okay, anyway, moving on. This has sparked up a little bit of controversy in the games industry regarding the fact that Cassandra, or Alexios, but let's go with Cassandra because I play as Cassandra, ends up in a relationship, a heterosexual relationship, with Darius's son in order to have a baby. Now, of course, being heterosexual is not a problem. And of course, Ubisoft didn't do this maliciously. But I'm not offended by it. However, I am offended by bad writing. And when you make an entire game that's hundreds of hours of content potentially, and you market it on the fact that this is your character with choices you make, and you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can be male or female if you want. You can be straight or gay or whatever the fuck you want. That was a huge point of the game, was you choose. You choose what you want your Cassandra to be. I don't think it's done very well at all, but that's what they said. That was their sort of tagline. But in the DLC, it forces you to be in a relationship with Darius's son and have a son with him. Meaning that your choices, again, like every choice in Odyssey, is pointless but imagine you are gay and you're playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey and you're like, I want my character to be gay because I am. You want to embody your character. That's like what you do in role-playing games. You make your character what you are, unless there's pre-established things. Like with Geralt, for example, we know he's not gay, but Commander Shepard can be whatever the fuck you want. And obviously that's your choice. And the same was said for Cassandra and Alexios. So say you chose for your character to be gay in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's what you want to do. The game then forces you to go against that. It's incredibly immersion breaking when you've played this entire game hundreds of hours and you're immersed. I don't think Odyssey's immersive. I don't think that you can get invested. But imagine you did. You're really invested in your Alexios, for example. And you see this character as gay because that's what you've done. That's what you've made your character out to be. That's who he is. But then this DLC comes out, and no, Alexios has to be straight now. And it's like, oh, but that's not what I did for 100 hours. That's not what I see my character as. It's so immersion breaking, and it's bad writing. It's the illusion of choice where none exists. And it's so dumb. Because like I said, I'm not offended by, oh no, Ubisoft are homophobic. They're not, are they? This wasn't malicious. It's just very bad writing, and I can't respect bad writing. And I honestly don't, obviously I don't think Ubisoft has done this maliciously, like I said, but that being said, I love seeing them get shit. I really like it. Even if it's, you know, I think it's silly sometimes. I think it's a little bit silly, because you should be criticizing the poor writing, not Ubisoft being homophobic or sexist or whatever the fuck people are saying. That's stupid, because it's not true. But I like seeing them get shit, because this game sucks, and the writing is appalling. And the fact that they've shoehorned all these choices in where they don't do anything. The choices aren't relevant. It's just, oh my god, it's so silly. And they did put out a statement in which they basically said, like, oh, it's your choice to explore this relationship, which to me sounds like, oh, it's, you know, it's up to you in the game to explore why your character switched to sexuality. Like that, like, it's so dumb. And then they basically start, like, trying to market episode 3. They're like, oh, it would make sense in episode 3. I don't think it'll ever make sense, because that's silly. Because I saw Claudio on Twitter was saying, like, oh, look at episode 3, it's called Bloodlines. So, obviously, there's a reason she had a baby. No one's complaining about Cassandra having a baby. Okay, one person was, where he's like, oh, it's sexist. Yeah, well, women give birth, so, I mean, is that sexist? Not really, man. Let's live in the real world. No one's complaining about Cassandra having a baby. We're complaining about the fact the writing shit, because you can play the entire thing gay, and then you have to be straight. The game forces you into a linear romance, a linear relationship, which might not fit your current canon for the character, because the writing sucks. It's an issue. Stop trying to fucking... People like this, people like bloody Claudio, they're just the Ubisoft apologists that are just like, everything they do is so good. When it's not good, is it? Anyway, I think that's all I have to say on the matter of episode 2. It's an absolute fucking mess, and I think they're gonna brush this under the rug and forget about it, like they do with everything law-breaking in Assassin's Creed. Think about the Assassin's Creed movie. Do you remember when Callum Lynch murdered Alan Rickman, the CEO of Abstergo Industries? Do you remember when that happened? It still happened, but let's just never talk about it again. Yeah? Let's just pretend it didn't happen, but it's still canon, because we reference it in emails and things in the modern day. But let's never talk about it. Let's never address it. Let's never show the impact of that on our game world, because our game world is so fake, and it feels so fake. The more games they release, the more stories they tell, the more the Assassin's Creed universe feels fake. It used to be something I could get fully immersed in, believing this was a real world, believing these characters existed, believing the first civilization was a really well-written, immersive story with incredible lore. But now, unfortunately...
That's not your rule! You're right.